my experiences, because there might be people out there that are seers as well, and they might be frightened to share with people, what they see, or they might feel as though people might judge them in a certain way. But I believe that God has gifted me with this for some reason. I'm still not for certain of. I have been opposed to it for many years. I finally just accepted what it is that He has given me, and it's a part of my generation and my bloodline. So what I wanted to share today is just a few of the experiences that I have experienced as being a seer.
Now, what exactly is a seer?
Basically, I am able to see things in the natural. For instance, the way I'm talking to you right now, I'm allowed to see spirits that other people don't see. I also have dreams and visions, and those dreams and visions, some of them have come to pass exactly the way I've seen them.
So there's one particular experience that you've had that pretty much was the catalyst for doing this video.
Absolutely.
So share that experience with us.
There was an experience about 12 years ago. I was a teacher, and a friend of mine, she was actually my teacher's assistant, and she's teaching right now. But we were actually traveling to Charlotte, North Carolina. I was living in Virginia at the time. They were having a teacher's fair, and we went to the teacher's fair to try to obtain employment. Upon returning from the job fair, we were driving, and I have a little bit of road rage, and there was a car in front of me. Actually, it was an SUV. It was a red SUV. I don't remember the make and model, but it was a red SUV, and the car was tailgating me, and I was in the far left lane, and I was tired. I was just ready to get home. So God told me to slow down, and when He told me to slow down, I literally smacked my teeth, because that's how we communicate, because you know what I'm thinking, so I might as well just keep it real with Him. So I smacked my teeth, and I was like, okay, God. In my mind, I said, okay, God. So I slowed down, and it probably wasn't maybe 100 to 150 feet after I slowed down, and I veered over to get in the far right lane, which is the slow lane. The car in front of me, the SUV in front of me, it began to shake violently. And it was literally shaking from side to side to the point where you can actually see the wheels lifting from the ground. That's how violently it was shaking. And it lost control. And what happened was it went from the left lane, crossed over the middle lane, all the way to the right lane, flipped in a ravine. The tree that it hit was no bigger than my thigh. At the point that it was flipping, I saw a woman fly out of the vehicle. She landed on the side of the pavement on the highway, and then the car flipped. It was smoking. And so immediately I stopped the car, and I backed the car up. And when I backed the car up and I got out of the car, I was terrified, because I seen this woman, and she had her femur bone was broken. It was sticking out of her thigh, and it frightened me. But the closer I got walking towards the vehicle, I heard people hollering and screaming, and it was a gut-wrenching holler and scream that I've never heard before. And as I got closer to this vehicle, the Holy Spirit came upon me, and I began to speak in these tongues that I've never heard before, have never heard them since that day. But I was so overcome with grief. It was like I felt like I was Jesus, and He was in my body, and I felt how sad He felt. He was grieved because someone in that vehicle had died and they went to hell. And it was a very moving experience for me. And at the time, we was jamming to Mary J. Blige. Love her. But it's something about the name of Jesus. And at that point, I put Fred Hammond in, and we rode it all the way back into Virginia. And I just thank God all the way home, because had I not been obedient and had I not had the Holy Spirit, I would have been in the way of this vehicle. And it would have hit me. And I might not be here today talking to you. So God told me to share that. And I haven't really talked about it since then. But when I went home that night and I went to sleep, I was tired. I called my best friend and I told her what had happened. And, you know, me and my friend, we spoke about it all the way home. But my mind was so mentally overwhelmed that I took a nap when I got home. And when I took a nap and got home, God showed me in the spirit what really happened. In the natural, when I seen the vehicle rocking violently from side to side, it didn't make sense while the car just went out of control. I was just thinking maybe because it was speeding, you know, it must have been going upwards of 100 miles per hour, because I was doing about 80 myself. And when I slowed down, I figured, well, maybe they were just going too fast. The car was out of control, but God showed me what happened. And what happened was 3 gargoyles descended. And as they descended, I saw the gargoyles, and they were shaking the car violently. And they were rocking the car from side to side. And as soon as the vehicle began to lose control, they shot back up. And that is what happened. And I come to you today because even though I can see you and you can see your sister every day and you can touch them, there are things that happen in the spirit realm that we don't see, but they're there. And just because you don't see it doesn't mean that it's not happening or something is not there. So I just really want to encourage someone that the spiritual realm is more real than this realm that we're in now, because it will never pass away. And I just wanted to encourage someone, you know, that is a seer like me, that if you are seeing these things and you're not understanding of what it is or why you're seeing it, that you would just pray and ask God to give you clarity on why it is that you know, are seeing these things. And my prayer is for the non-believer that might be watching this and, you know, you're not sure if Jesus is real or where you're going when you die. It's my belief, and I pray that you adopt this belief as well, that there is a heaven and a hell. And the enemy, which is the devil, his main ploy is to get people to doubt that there is a heaven, to get people to doubt that there is a God. But if there is not, when you leave here, you better be sure. Because when you leave here and you're not sure and you've been living like there's no hell, I pray for your soul that you will not go there. And it is not God's desire that any of us perish. So I just want to encourage anyone that might be watching, if you're having any doubts about Christ or, you know, salvation, that instead of, you know, seeking what other people say, seek him for yourself. If you knock on the door, he'll answer. And really that's my purpose for doing this.